So I'm here today with Geoff Chase. He's another model railroader, HO scale in Ottawa. And we're down in his basement in a really nice railroad room with lots to see. And I thought I'd let you give us a little introduction as to what the railroad's all about, and then maybe we'll get a railway tour and ops session in tonight.
Sure, great. Well, I've based the railway on the concept of the line running from Lebreton Flats in downtown Ottawa,
Yes.
through Hull and up along the old CP line to the town of Wakefield, and all the way up from there, all the way up to Manaukee. Now that line above Wakefield got abandoned in the early 70s, but in my world it still exists, so there's still lots of traffic going up that way.
How did you get the idea to focus in on that particular area for model railroading?
Well, I arrived here in Ottawa in the early 70s, and I'd had a trip up there and saw that there was still a steam train that was running.
Yes.
And that sort of piqued my interest. And when I did get involved in model railroading, it seemed like a natural place to get things set up.
Well, this railroad room is quite large. What are the dimensions of it?
It's about 29 feet long.
Yes.
The main part of the room that we're in now is about 11 feet wide.
Yeah.
And then there's another extension down at one end, which is about 6 feet wide and about 16 feet long.
And it's sort of a round-the-room concept with a piece coming back through the middle, I guess. Is that the way it works?
A peninsula down the middle here to give it lots of extra running length.
That's quite a bit of space then that occupies the line. Have you ever measured it, how many feet it is?
I think it's about 110, 120 feet of main line from the one end here around the room and ending up here.
Okay, so it's a point-to-point concept.
Yeah.
What sort of, how did you come up with an operations plan for it, or was this something that you had sort of thought before you even start the railroad?
No, it just sort of evolved. I really started with the 2x8 section that I've got at Lebreton Flats, and extended it into Hull, and then it sort of grew around the room, and then I got access to the entire room.
Yes. Yay.
And I've actually got to the point where I'm looking at, are there other ways that I can expand into other parts of the basement?
So you can get something running behind the furnace and that sort of thing?
Yeah, not quite, but yeah.
Yeah, so how many people does it typically take to run an op session?
You pretty well need to have 5 or 6, because I've got 2 main yards.
Yes.
I've got 2 way freights that go up and down, and then there's another sort of secondary yard, and then a bunch of small jobs that might take 15 to 20 minutes apiece, so that 6th operator can handle all that.
With all that action going on, I guess you have to have a pretty good paperwork system to make it all happen. Do you have a specific program that you use or method?
Well, I've got the traffic is based on using car cards and waybills.
Okay, yeah.
I do have a general schedule of trains, which is on this sheet.
Okay, well let's have a look at that. This is something that you just drew up in...
this is in Excel.
Excel.
So I've got the trains identified.
Right.
And then in this column we'll be filling in who the operators are for them. There's a general schedule based on times when they might or might not be running.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all kind of fluid depending on how many operators we get out for a particular session.
What is the color coding on the left for?
What I've done is identify each of the stations where on the layout with the color code, and this indicates where the train originates. So for instance, Blue is South Ottawa,
Yes.
and so there's a yard job that runs there. There's a couple of northbound jobs that run out of there, so they're indicated in blue. And so that's how that color scheme works.
Okay.
Yeah.
I notice on the board here you've got something else here that looks rather intriguing. What is that?
It's a more fluid representation of that chart.
Yes.
Where I've got the operator jobs indicated by letters, and then for each session the operator who's going to actually be doing it. So Tom Badenoch is going to be running the Lebreton Flats yard.
Yes.
Dave Copeland will be running the South Ottawa yard.
Yep.
David Gardner is going to be doing some stuff in Hull with some other jobs. So on this board, the yellow jobs are basically yard focus. White jobs are freight runs.
Yes.
Green lettering indicates passenger runs.
And the red?
Those are commuter runs.
Oh, interesting.
So I've got some commuter traffic using RDCs.
Yes.
And this is a short passenger train, but it's basically commuter traffic rather than...
Now it's on a magnetic board, and I guess what you've done here is you've got them set up sort of, I guess you could see time on the left. Is that what that is?
Yeah, generally
Yeah.
time going down.
A rather fluid piece of time, not necessarily directly to a particular hour of the day, I take it.
No, not specifically.
So in the case of C, would DG here, would he do this job first before he did this one, and
Yes.
and so on, and then this one, and then this one?
And in the case of the Hull job, it indicates that there's going to be some work to be done before the first train, which is the NPX North, comes through. Then he'll be doing some other stuff for the northbound 79 freight.
Yep.
And then he'll be doing some other stuff for whatever train is supposed to be coming in next.
I see one of the operators' names there is my wife Leela. This is the first time she's been to your layout. Have you got any particular advice that you want to give to her before we start?
We'll start with a commuter job using an RDC. It's a northbound one, so it will start here in at this end of the layout.
And what is this, Searville?
This is Searville, so just on the over just past the actual train station, more or less.
Okay.
It'll then go through South Ottawa Yard.
Okay, so this is South Ottawa Yard, and I see there's a passenger train waiting there, and then there's a yard here with a lot of freight.
Right.
And I take it the way this is set up with the car cards, each track number is there, and the cars are clipped together according to a train?
To the train or the destination.
Okay.
For instance, this is train 79, which is a northbound freight that will ultimately run all the way to the north end of the layout.
Yes.
There's other stuff that's just going generally north. Or a group going to Barhaven, or some local traffic, or stuff that's sitting in the yard that's going to the eastbound staging.
Okay.
So
I noticed that you also use little clips for the tops of the cars to indicate which train is in which track. Is that right? Just as a cue for the
it's just
operator?
A cue for the operator so that they can quickly find out which group they have to work with next.
Yes. Okay. So after we leave here, where's our next stop?
The commuter train is going to come down to a station here in Barhaven.
Right. Okay. So it comes along and into Barhaven.
Yeah.
And what's happening at this point? It looks like there's a Y.
Yeah, there's a Y here. It'll take the other leg of the Y.
Yes.
Go around and go into Lebreton Flats.
Okay, so when a train actually comes into this area, it must run around, I guess, to get back out on the main. Is that what happens, to continue down the line?
Well, in this case, the commuter train will come in into here and then just back out.
Right.
But there's a runaround track because there are some industries here for delivery, and when the Barhaven turn freight train comes out in the middle of the afternoon,
Yes.
it'll have to make use of the runaround track.
Okay, so now we're into the peninsula here, and then the main line follows along the edge of the wall?
Yes, yes. So it goes underneath the road overpass
Okay.
and into Lebreton Flats.
Let's go have a look at that.
Okay, yeah, so now we're in Lebreton Flats.
Yeah.
There's a dedicated switcher here to handle all the freight traffic and the local deliveries. And there are a couple of local freights that go out from here for deliveries to Barhaven and into Hull.
So, in a way, this is where trains will come and be resorted to go to different locations within Quebec. Is that correct? Is there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what happens when a train comes in? It comes into an arrivals track?
Yeah, it'll typically come in onto this track where the switcher can easily pull off cars and shuffle them into the sorting tracks within the yard.
Right, and then will there be and pickups, I guess, if there's something specifically for that train.
Yes, and that leaves the back track here, the main, to handle any through traffic and passenger traffic for the station.
So, do you have any questions about that, Leila?
No,
looks pretty straightforward.
Yes.
That's a rather nice use of cutouts I see on the back of the wall there. See, there's lots to do still in scenery, but that's not so typical of most of us, eh?
Oh, for sure.
So how long have you been working on the railroad?
I started putting this together in, I think it was 1999. And that was just this section.
Okay.
So it's grown to where it is now. Took me till about 2010, I think.
Yeah. I like your beer sign, Frosted Frog Beer. Is that a local beer?
No, that I got that down in Halifax.
Oh yeah, well, that's really neat.
Yeah, they have drive-through beer stores down there. That's cool.
It's always good. It's always good to have breweries on your layout.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're leaving town, and we have a nice, beautiful painting here. Looks like, did you do that one?
No, my sister did that.
Oh, it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
And what river does this represent?
So we're crossing the Ottawa River.
Okay.
And heading into Hull.
Okay. So Hull is, as in reality, just across the river from Ottawa.
Yeah, and I'm representing the E.B. Eddy and Domtower paper activity,
right,
and a few other small industries. There's no formal yard here.
Okay.
So any traffic is just brought in and delivered.
Okay. So the locomotive that's on the train typically does all the switching then.
Well, I keep a locomotive here for the local deliveries.
Oh, okay.
And the train will drop stuff off.
Yeah.
And this locomotive will handle all the local stuff.
All right. So would that be a separate operator then?
Yes, but if we're short on operators in a particular night, we either skip it, and if you're bringing your train through, then you'll end up doing both jobs.
Okay.
So
excellent.
We do make some compromises.
So where we go next after we leave Hull?
Well, if we take the main line, we'll be heading up parallel to the following the Gatineau River north. But I've also set things up with some staging, which goes through the wall into my workroom. And I have staging representing interchange with the Quebec Gatineau Railway and with Tom Badenoch's North Pontiac Railway.
So Tom is another modeler that lives locally then. I think I was over to see his layout, and we did some work on it. So you actually do physical car exchanges then?
Sometimes we do, but generally I just run a train through during the session going up, and then towards the end of the session it'll return. And that represents a train on his that interchanges. His is a CN-based railway, but he has interchange with CP, and mine is a CP-based railway.
With interchange and CN.
Yeah, so
that's fair.
Yeah, that way we tie it in.
So here looks like we have some countryside.
Yeah, a little bit of countryside and some...
running distance.
Yeah, and some scenery inspired by yourself.
Yeah.
So this is coming up along the Gatineau River. We have a quarry here at a place called Farm Point.
Yes.
Which is just south of the town of Wakefield.
Right.
And here we have not too much industry. There's a team track here, and at the other end I have a lumber yard. So there's a bit of traffic comes in here.
Right.
But it's also a place where the northbound freight will have to meet the southbound freight. And typically those trains at that point are somewhere between 6 and 10 cars long each. So we have it's always a nice challenge to get the two trains by each
other. A little bit of trying to find some track space for longer lengths of trains, and maybe a little bit of saw by at times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do they exchange cars and help each other out?
Yes, they do, because we try to have it so that you're just dealing with the trailing traffic. So the southbound one should go in and pick up the traffic from the lumber yard. But
so he either could put it on his train or yours, depending on which direction it was supposed to go.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a bit of negotiation and work between the two operators.
Excellent. So, where are we now?
Well, we've come out of Wakefield.
Right.
And we're coming up to a small line-side industry, Laurentian Timber, which is just in the town of Farley. It's just south of our current end of the line.
All right.
As we come out of Farley, we head through a cut, and then we will go into the town of Manaukee.
It's really nice when you see this very narrow piece here. It's probably a foot wide, but you're able to get some sky and some background forest and trees and foreground scenery. Very effective. Nice technique. And here's your final destination?
Yeah, this is the town of Manaukee, and there's a couple of industries in town, a co-op, a marble works, and the usual freight station and team track.
Well, that looks very nice.
And passenger trains come up here, so there's always some negotiation of keeping the freight out of the way when the passenger train comes into town.
So there you go, Leela. Do you think you can handle the operations here? It looks like a lot of fun.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, do you have any questions at all?
No.
Are you sure?
I think so. If
Oh,
not,
gee.
I'll be yelling at him later on.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll hear about it all the way home. Well, I guess now we've seen your layout, we know what it's about, and it's time to see the operations. So your folks have arrived, and we'll let you do the briefing, and then we'll have some fun.
Okay, great.